The alien girl stood at the edge of the ruined temple, her golden eyes fixed on the human who worked in silence before the great machine. The mechanism was ancient, covered in strange lines and glowing carvings that no one had ever unlocked. For centuries her people had tried and failed to wake it. Now she watched in amusement as the lone human placed his hands on the surface and studied its patterns. A soft laugh escaped her lips. "Pathetic," she whispered, though her voice was loud enough for others around to hear. The other aliens chuckled with her, their voices sharp and mocking. They believed as she did, that humans were weak creatures, barely worthy of standing among the stars. The human said nothing. He did not respond to her laughter, nor did he look up. His dark eyes moved across the lines of the mechanism, slow and careful, as if reading something hidden that no one else could see. His silence annoyed her more than his presence. She wanted him to admit his weakness, to accept defeat. "Look at him," the alien girl said loudly, pointing with her slender hand. "He thinks he can solve what even the elders could not. How foolish, how very human." More laughter rose from the crowd. Yet the human remained calm. He traced the carvings with his fingertips, brushing away centuries of dust. The air was heavy, filled with the quiet hum of the ancient ruins. Something about his movements felt different, though the aliens refused to notice. The girl folded her arms across her chest. She was tall, graceful, her silver armor shining in the dim light. Compared to her, the human looked small, fragile, almost breakable. But his stillness made her uneasy. Why did he not falter under their mockery? Why did he not defend himself with anger? The human leaned closer to the mechanism, his hand pausing over a strange symbol. The lines glowed faintly, as though the machine was aware of his touch. None of the aliens noticed, but the girl's sharp eyes caught it. She frowned. "A trick," she told herself. "It must be some illusion." Minutes passed. The human knelt before the great device, studying every line, every curve. He muttered softly to himself, words no one could hear. His movements were slow but filled with purpose, as though he was following instructions invisible to everyone else. The alien girl grew restless. "He will fail," she declared loudly. "They always fail." But deep inside, a seed of doubt formed. Something about this human was different. A younger alien leaned toward her. "Should we stop him? If by chance," she cut him off with a sharp glare. "Stop him? And waste the entertainment? No. Let him play with his toy. The machine will not answer to him." The human suddenly pressed his palm flat against the center of the mechanism. For a second, the carvings lit up brighter as though alive. Gasps escaped from a few aliens, but the glow faded almost instantly. The girl laughed again, relieved. "See? Nothing. He is chasing shadows." But the human's face did not show defeat. Instead, there was focus, determination. He wiped the sweat from his brow and adjusted his stance. He was not ready to give up. The ruins were silent, except for the whispers of the watching crowd. The alien girl leaned against a broken pillar, her long hair falling across her shoulder. Her eyes never left the human. She wanted to see the moment he broke. She wanted to see his shoulders slump in defeat, to hear him admit that humanity was weak. Yet that moment did not come. He moved again, this time running his fingers across a hidden groove. Dust fell away, revealing symbols none of the aliens had noticed before. The girl narrowed her eyes. How could he see details that even her people, with all their knowledge, had missed? The human stepped back for a moment, staring at the newly revealed markings. A faint smile touched his lips. He was close to something. She could feel it. And for the first time, her laughter faded. The alien girl straightened, her mocking tone gone. She did not speak, but her golden eyes burned with curiosity. The human knelt once more, brushing his hand along the new symbols. Slowly, carefully, he traced the shape until it formed a complete circle. The faint glow returned, brighter this time, pulsing like a heartbeat. The crowd gasped louder. Her jaw tightened. The machine had never done that before. Not for her people, not for anyone. And yet this human, this fragile creature they mocked, had made it stir. The alien girl forced herself to laugh again, though the sound was thinner now. "It is nothing," she said quickly. "Only a trick of the ruins. He will fail just as all before him have failed." But her hands trembled slightly as she spoke. For the first time, she was not so sure. The human looked up at the glowing circle, then at the crowd watching him. His eyes lingered on the alien girl. For a brief moment, their gazes met. He said nothing. But in his silence, she felt a strange unease crawl into her heart. The ruins hummed again. The faint glow grew stronger. And for the first time, the alien girl wondered if she had been wrong about humans all along. The alien girl tilted her head, her golden eyes fixed on the faintly glowing circle that the human had uncovered. For a brief moment, she felt an uneasy flutter inside her chest. But pride was stronger than doubt, and she quickly masked her fear with a sharp smile. "Do you see?" she said loudly to the crowd. "The light is weak, a fading trick. The human stumbles upon a shadow and believes it is power." Her words were meant to slice through the growing tension, to remind everyone who held the higher place in the universe. The other aliens nodded and laughed again, though their laughter carried a nervous edge now. The machine had responded, if only for a moment, and that fact unsettled them. Still, they followed her lead, trusting in her confidence. The human, however, did not look at them. His eyes stayed on the strange lines of the mechanism, calm and patient as if their jeers did not exist. The girl stepped forward, her boots echoing against the stone floor. Her silver armor caught the dim light, reflecting it with pride. She wanted the human to look up at her, to see the image of superiority standing above him. "You waste your time," she said coldly. "For centuries, the greatest minds of my people have studied this relic. Do you think a creature like you, born of dirt and frailty, can unlock what even our wisest could not?" The human remained silent. His hands moved carefully, brushing against symbols, tracing grooves, pressing lightly where no alien hand had dared. He was not careless. He was searching with a purpose, as if he already knew the secret hidden within the mechanism. The girl clenched her fists. She had expected him to argue, to defend himself with words of pride. Instead, his silence was worse. It was as if her insults had no meaning, as if he stood beyond her judgment. She raised her chin and called out to the others. "Watch closely. When he fails, you will remember that humanity's place is at the feet of greater races. They are useful as servants, nothing more." The crowd murmured their agreement, but their eyes, like hers, never left the human. The man paused, studying the carvings that wound like rivers across the machine's surface, his brow furrowed, his fingers tapping gently against a corner where the stone seemed duller than the rest. Slowly, he pressed. For a moment, the machine trembled. A faint hum spread through the temple floor. The glow returned, brighter this time, flowing like fire across the carvings before dimming again. Gasps filled the air. The aliens looked at one another, wide-eyed. The girl forced out a laugh. "A coincidence," she cried. "The old stone reacts to pressure. It means nothing." But her heart pounded. Her throat felt dry. The human leaned closer, studying the result of his touch. He whispered something to himself, words too soft for anyone to hear. Then, with steady hands, he began tracing more lines, as though piecing together a puzzle only he could see. The girl's smile faltered. She stepped closer to him. "Do you think this will make you equal to us?" she asked sharply. "Do you believe a mere flicker of light changes your place in the universe?" The human looked up at her finally, his dark eyes steady, calm. He did not answer. He simply held her gaze for a long, heavy moment, then returned to the machine. That silence cut deeper than any word. The girl's jaw tightened. She turned to the crowd, desperate to keep their confidence. "He plays with dust and shadows. Do not be deceived. Humans are good at pretending, nothing more." but doubt crept into her voice, and the others noticed. The human pressed another symbol, and once more the machine shuddered. A soft rumble rolled through the ground, making the walls of the ruined temple tremble. The carvings glowed again, brighter than before, casting eerie light across the faces of those watching. The alien's laughter stopped. The girl's eyes widened, though she tried to hide it. She felt her pride slipping, piece by piece, but she clung to it desperately. "It cannot be," she whispered under her breath. The human stepped back slightly, studying the glowing lines. His expression remained calm, almost thoughtful, as if he were not unlocking a miracle but simply following instructions written long ago. The girl's pride screamed at her to stop him, to drag him away from the mechanism before he revealed more. But her arrogance held her in place. She could not admit fear, not in front of the others. She had mocked him too loudly, too often. To stop him now would be to admit that his actions mattered. So she stood frozen, her heart racing, her lips pressed tight. The human raised his hand again, slowly, deliberately. His fingers hovered over a symbol no alien had dared touch before. The girl's breath caught. Her pride whispered that he would fail, but another voice, small and unwelcome, whispered that he would not. And as the human pressed his hand firmly against the stone, the ruins themselves seemed to wake. The hum deepened, louder now, echoing across the temple walls. Light spread faster, brighter, chasing away the shadows. The carvings flared with energy, bathing the chamber in radiant glow. The alien girl's arrogance faltered. For the first time in her life, she felt the sharp sting of doubt pierce through her pride. And though she tried to laugh again, the sound would not come. The ruined temple had grown silent. No one laughed now. The alien girl's golden eyes stayed fixed on the glowing lines that crawled across the mechanism like veins of fire. The crowd behind her shifted uneasily, their whispers sharp with fear and confusion. But the human paid no attention. His mind was locked on the puzzle before him. His hands moved carefully, tracing the edges of each glowing line, searching for patterns that no alien eye could see. His movements were patient, steady, almost stubborn, like a craftsman shaping stone, refusing to rush. The girl clenched her teeth. His calm persistence unnerved her. "You waste your strength," she said sharply, trying to reclaim control of the moment. "The light flickers, yes, but it will fade again. You do not understand what you touch." The human didn't. "Look at her." He brushed the dust from another corner of the machine. Hidden symbols appeared, faint but clear under his hand. He bent closer, his eyes narrowing as if the machine itself was whispering to him. Her stomach twisted. How was he finding things her people had overlooked for centuries? Minutes stretched into long, heavy silence. The aliens grew restless. Some shifted nervously, while others leaned forward, unable to look away. Every time the human touched the carvings, the machine answered with a faint glow or a low hum. The girl finally snapped, her voice sharp and loud. "Enough of this. You are only delaying your failure. No human can master this machine. It was built by powers far greater than you." But her words no longer carried the same force. The crowd's attention stayed fixed on the human. The man paused, lifting his head slowly. For a moment his eyes met hers again. There was no arrogance in them, no anger, only quiet focus. That calm gaze struck her harder than any insult could. It told her he didn't need to answer her with words. His persistence was answer enough. He turned back to the mechanism, pressing his hand against another symbol. This time the reaction was stronger. A deep vibration shook the ground. The carvings flared with light, spreading farther, illuminating walls that had been dark for centuries. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The aliens stepped back, fear flashing in their eyes. The girl's heart pounded. She tried to laugh, but the sound stuck in her throat. The truth was too heavy now. Something impossible was happening before her eyes. The human, sweating but steady, wiped his brow with his sleeve. His hands trembled slightly from exhaustion, but still he continued. His breath came in slow, controlled pulls. He would not stop. He would not give in. The girl studied him closely now. He was not like the humans she had known, those who bent quickly under alien authority, who carried out tasks without question. This one was different. His patience was his weapon, his persistence his shield. Another hum shook the air. The mechanism pulsed brighter. Lines of light spread like rivers, climbing higher up the stone, branching out into patterns that looked like stars. The chamber glowed with ancient energy, wrapping everything in a pale blue radiance. The crowd backed away further, murmuring in fear. None dared interrupt. The girl felt her pride crumble piece by piece. She wanted to shout again, to command the human to stop, but the words died on her tongue. If she ordered him away and he obeyed, it would save her pride. But if he ignored her, it would shatter it completely. So she said nothing. The human knelt, down now, his fingers brushing across a broken part of the floor. He paused, then dug carefully with his hand. Dust and stone gave way, revealing yet another hidden marking, one that connected to the glowing network above. The aliens gasped again. The girl's chest tightened. This man was not stumbling blindly. He was searching with purpose, unlocking step after step as though following instructions written only for him. Her arrogance, once unshakable, began to feel like a fragile shell. She folded her arms across her chest to hide the tension in her hands. The human pressed the newly revealed marking. The ground rumbled. This time the vibration was so strong that dust rained from the ceiling. The glow surged brighter, blinding in its intensity. For the first time, the alien girl staggered back, shielding her eyes. When the light dimmed slightly, she saw the human still standing before the machine, calm and unbroken. His chest rose and fell with steady breaths. His eyes burned with determination. He was tired, yes, but he did not stop. He had no thought of giving up. The girl's pride screamed inside her, telling her this was wrong, that it was impossible. And yet she could not deny what her eyes saw. The machine was responding, not to her. Not to her people, to him, to a human. She bit her lip, her voice trembling now. Why? Why does it answer to you? The human turned his head slightly, meeting her gaze once more. He spoke for the first time since he had begun. His voice was low, steady, and unshaken. Because I don't give up. The words cut deep into her pride. Simple, almost childish. Yet in that moment, they carried a weight greater than all her mocking laughter combined. The machine pulsed again, brighter still, as though agreeing with him. The air itself felt alive, thick with power. The girl's laughter was gone now. So was her arrogance. All that remained was unease, and a growing fear that the human's persistence would reveal a truth she was not ready to face. The air inside the temple grew heavier, thick with a strange energy. The walls trembled as if they were alive, answering to the glowing machine. Dust fell like drifting snow, catching the light that spilled across the chamber. The human stood tall before the mechanism, his face calm, but his eyes sharp with focus. Sweat ran down his temple, yet he did not waver. His hands hovered above the glowing carvings, steady as if he had been trained for this very moment. The alien girl's heart pounded in her chest. For the first time, she could not laugh. Her golden eyes flickered with fear, but her lips pressed into a thin, stubborn line. She would not let the others see her doubt. Not yet. She forced herself to speak, her voice sharp and cold. "Do not be fooled," she said to the crowd. "The machine wakes because of ancient cycles, not because of him. He is nothing but a child pressing buttons." But her words fell flat. None of the aliens answered. Their eyes were wide, their faces pale. They had never seen the machine respond to anyone, not even their greatest leaders. And now, before their very eyes, a human made it breathe. The human bent forward, brushing his hand across another symbol. This one was cracked and broken, hidden beneath layers of dust. The moment his skin touched it, a deep sound filled the chamber, a low, resonant hum that shook their bones. The glow burst brighter, spreading across the machine like veins of fire. The carvings pulsed in rhythm, a heartbeat that echoed through. The walls, The alien girl staggered back a step, her breath caught in her throat. This was no accident. This was awakening. The human pressed again, his movements calm and deliberate. Each touch brought new life to the machine. Lines of light spread farther, reaching into the ceiling, crawling across pillars that had been dark for centuries. The temple itself seemed to awaken. The crowd gasped in unison. Some fell to their knees in fear, while others clung to the walls. Their arrogance had melted away, replaced by awe and trembling silence. The girl's pride cracked deeper. She clenched her fists, desperate to hold on. "It is dangerous," she shouted, her voice trembling. "He does not know what he awakens. He will destroy us all." But even she could hear the weakness in her words. The human stepped back, his eyes fixed on the glowing network now spread across the entire mechanism. His breathing was heavy, but his focus never broke. He studied the light, watching as it shifted, as if the machine itself was guiding him. The girl swallowed hard. A thought whispered in her mind, one she hated to admit. It listens to him. The machine pulsed again, louder, stronger. The light filled the temple until there was no shadow left. Symbols appeared on the floor, forming a pattern that stretched outward from the machine like a great star. The aliens gasped louder. None of them had ever seen these markings before. They had been hidden, waiting. The girl's knees trembled, though she fought to stand straight. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "Stop this, you don't know what you're doing." The human turned his head slightly. His eyes met hers once more. Calm, steady, unyielding. And then he pressed his hand to the center of the glowing star. The reaction was immediate. A roar of energy surged through the ruins. The ground shook violently, cracks tearing through the stone. The pillars blazed with light, ancient runes awakening after countless ages of silence. The crowd screamed, stumbling back in fear. The girl's breath caught in her chest. Her jaw dropped as the impossible unfolded before her. The machine was alive. She stumbled back another step, her pride shattering like glass. All the mocking laughter she had thrown at him now seemed hollow, meaningless. Her voice failed her. For the first time in her life, she had no words. The human stood in the center of the storm, his body surrounded by light. His silhouette glowed against the brilliance, small yet unshaken. He looked like a figure carved in stone, fragile but eternal. The girl's thoughts spiraled. How? How can this be? He is human. He is weak. He should not have power like this. And yet, the hum deepened into a rhythm, steady and powerful. The machine's energy filled the air like a living heartbeat. It was not wild or chaotic. It was controlled, guided by him. The girl clutched her chest. A strange feeling grew inside her, something she had never known before. It was not pride, not anger, not even fear. It was respect. The human lowered his hand slowly. The glow remained, pulsing softly as if waiting for his next command. He exhaled, his face calm, though his body showed the weight of exhaustion. The aliens whispered among themselves, their voices filled with awe. How is this possible? Why him? What does it mean? The girl could not answer. She could only stare. For so long she had mocked him, laughed at him, dismissed him as nothing. But now, as the machine bowed to his touch, she realized the truth she had refused to see. Humans were not weak. Humans were not small. They were something else. And as the chamber pulsed with light, she understood one thing with terrifying clarity. The universe had underestimated humanity, and it would never be the same again. The temple shook with a low rumble, as if the earth itself was alive. The carvings on the machine burned with bright light, spreading across every wall and pillar. Ancient symbols, hidden for centuries, now glowed like rivers of fire. The once dead ruins were alive again, and at the center of it all stood the human. He did not flinch. His chest rose and fell in steady rhythm, his hands resting calmly on the glowing surface. His eyes reflected the light, sharp and focused. He looked tired, yes, but not defeated. There was strength in his silence, a strength the aliens had never seen before. The alien girl's breath came fast. Her golden eyes widened, her lips parted in shock. The pride that once filled her heart now cracked like shattered stone. She could not speak. She could only stare. The crowd behind her whispered in fear and awe. "It answers to him. How can this be? No alien could do this. Why a human?" Every voice was the same, uncertain, shaken, stripped of arrogance. The girl finally found her voice, though it trembled. "Stop. You do not understand what you awaken." But the human did not stop. His fingers brushed another hidden symbol, and the machine roared louder. The ground split with cracks, glowing with light. Dust poured from the ceiling, raining down like falling stars. The girl stumbled back, her heart pounding. She wanted to scream, to order him away, but deep inside she knew it was too late. The machine had already chosen him. The human closed his eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. Then he spoke. His voice calm but firm. "This was never yours to control." The words struck her like a blade. Simple, direct, undeniable. The machine pulsed again, this time sending waves of light through the air. The glow stretched outward, filling the temple with brilliance. For a moment it felt as if the entire universe had narrowed to this place, this moment, this human. The aliens shielded their eyes, some dropping to their knees. The girl's pride shattered completely. She felt small, smaller than she had ever felt before. Her mind screamed, "No, this is impossible. He is only human." But her eyes could not deny what they saw. The human raised his hand and pressed the center of the glowing star once more. A great burst of energy exploded from the machine, rushing outward like a storm. The air crackled with power. The ruins trembled as if the gods themselves had awakened. The girl fell to her knees, her body shaking. The light washed over her, warm yet terrifying. She could not resist it. She could not mock it. She could only feel it. The machine roared, and the sound echoed like thunder. The pillars blazed, the walls shook, and the ground pulsed with power. The entire temple was alive, and at its heart stood the human, unbroken and calm. The girl's jaw dropped. Her voice barely escaped her lips. "It obeys him." The human opened his eyes, the glow reflecting in them. He looked across the room, meeting the eyes of every alien who had doubted him. His gaze finally stopped on the girl. "You mocked me," he said, his tone steady. But this was never about strength. It was about persistence. Her chest tightened. She wanted to argue, but no words came. The machine pulsed again, brighter than before. A deep vibration shook the earth, sending fear through the aliens. They stumbled, clinging to the walls, terrified. The girl's mind raced. She thought of every word she had spoken, every laugh she had thrown at him. Now they felt empty, meaningless. The human had proven her wrong. The crowd murmured again, but now their voices carried respect, even awe. He is chosen. The machine listens only to him. Perhaps humans are not what we thought. The girl's pride crumbled fully. She lowered her gaze, unable to meet his eyes. But the human did not gloat. He did not laugh. He stood tall, steady, his expression calm. He had no need to humiliate her. The machine's light was enough. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber, broken only by the pulsing hum of the awakened mechanism. Then, slowly, the human stepped back from the center. The glow did not fade. It remained strong, alive, as if waiting for his next command. The girl finally looked up again, her voice trembling. "Why you? Why only you?" The human's answer was simple. "Because I refused to stop trying." The words echoed in her heart. They were simple but heavy with truth, and in that moment she realized something that shook her more than the roaring machine. It was not power that made him strong. It was persistence. It was the human spirit. The universe would never see humans the same way again. The roar of the awakened machine faded into a steady hum, deep and powerful, like the heartbeat of something ancient and alive. The ruins glowed with radiant light, every wall and pillar etched with shining patterns. Dust swirled in the air, glowing like stars in the brightness. The human stood in the center, small in size yet unshaken. His hands rested calmly by his sides, his eyes fixed on the living machine before him. He breathed slowly, his chest rising and falling with quiet control. The alien girl could not move. Her legs felt heavy, her chest tight. For so long she had laughed, mocked, and belittled him. But now she could only stare in silence, her golden eyes wide with disbelief. The whispers of the crowd filled the temple. It listens only to him. Why a human? What does this mean? Their voices trembled with awe and fear. The girl's pride was gone. She had nothing left to hold on to. Every word she had spoken against him now felt like chains around her neck, pulling her deeper into shame. The human stepped forward again, his hand hovering above the center of the glowing star. The machine pulsed brighter, its light following his movement like a loyal servant. The girl's jaw tightened. She whispered, barely audible, It chose him. Her words echoed in her mind. She hated them, but they were the truth. The human pressed his palm against the center once more. This time the reaction was unlike anything before. The light surged upward in a massive column, piercing through the ceiling of the temple and rising into the sky. The ground shook violently, the ruins trembling under the force of ancient power. The aliens cried out, shielding their eyes from the brilliance. The girl raised her arm, but her gaze never left him. The machine spoke, not in words, but in sound. A deep, resonant tone filled the air, vibrating through their bones. It was the sound of something vast, eternal, and beyond understanding. The walls of the chamber vibrated and ancient runes shifted, rearranging themselves into new patterns. The human's eyes widened slightly as if he understood. He watched the symbols change, his lips moving in silence as he traced their meaning. The girl's heart raced. He understands it? She whispered to herself. The crowd murmured again, fear and awe twisting their voices. Impossible. He is reading it. How can a human know? The girl felt a strange heat in her chest. Shame, fear, and something else. Something she had never felt before. Respect. The human turned slightly, his face glowing in the light of the runes. His voice was calm, steady, and carried through the chamber like a command. It was never locked to strength. It was waiting for patience. The words struck the aliens like thunder. They looked at one another, confused and shaken. The girl trembled. Patience. That was the secret. Her people had pressed with force, demanded control, tried to bend the machine to their will. But the human, he had studied, waited, and refused to give up. That was why it answered him. The realization cut through her pride like a blade. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not blind. Humanity was different. The machine pulsed again, and the new runes began to glow brighter. Slowly, the massive structure shifted, opening in places where no alien had ever seen movement. Stone. Panels slid aside, revealing a hidden chamber within. The crowd gasped, their voices filled with terror and awe. The girl's breath caught in her throat. Her body trembled as she watched the impossible unfold. The hidden chamber glowed with golden light, brighter than the sun, filled with energy that felt endless. The human stepped toward it, his face calm, his body glowing in the brilliance. He did not fear it. He did not hesitate. The girl's knees weakened. She wanted to look away, but she could not. Her eyes stayed locked on him. The machine lowered its hum, as if bowing before him. The chamber, within revealed shapes, ancient devices, glowing crystals, tools of a power beyond imagination. It was a treasure hidden for ages, waiting for the right hands to claim it. The girl whispered, her voice trembling. It was never meant for us. It was always meant for them. The crowd fell into silence. Every alien stared at the human, their faces pale, their pride shattered. The human reached out, his hand brushing against one of the glowing crystals. The moment he touched it, the light surged again, wrapping him in brilliance. His silhouette shone like a figure carved from light. The girl gasped, her chest rising with a strange mix of fear and wonder. The human turned, his eyes calm, his voice steady. "This is why you failed. You tried to control it. But it was never about control." The aliens bowed their heads, unable to meet his gaze. The girl's pride was gone completely. All that remained was awe. For the first time, she understood the truth she had mocked for so long. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was the key. And as the light filled the ruins, she knew the universe itself would never be the same again. The temple no longer felt like ruins. It breathed with light and power, alive in ways the aliens had never imagined. The great machine stood open, its heart revealed, glowing crystals, shifting panels, and ancient energy pulsing like veins of fire. The air crackled with power so intense that every breath felt heavy, sacred. At the center of it all stood the human, small, fragile in body, yet shining with a presence that outshone everyone else in the chamber. His figure was bathed in golden light, his eyes calm but burning with quiet strength. The alien girl could not move. She stood frozen, her knees weak, her chest heavy. For so long she had mocked him, laughed at his efforts, and treated him as nothing. But now all of that was gone. Her arrogance was ash. Her pride was shattered. All she could feel was awe. The crowd was silent. Not one alien dared speak. Their golden eyes stayed locked on the human, their faces pale with the weight of what they had seen. The human turned slowly, his gaze sweeping across the chamber. His eyes met theirs one by one, steady and unshaken. When they finally reached the alien girl, she flinched. She expected him to mock her, to throw her own words back at her. She expected him to crush her pride with the same laughter she had given him. But he did not. Instead, he spoke with quiet certainty. "You mocked me because I was human. But it is because I am human that this answered me." The words hung in the air, sharp and undeniable. The girl's lips trembled. She wanted to argue, but no sound came. Her throat was dry, her pride broken. Deep inside, she knew he was right. The human stepped closer to the glowing chamber. His hand brushed against the ancient crystals, and the machine pulsed with light, brighter than before, as if recognizing its master. The girl whispered, her voice fragile. "Why? Why only you?" The human turned his head, his dark eyes calm. "Because humans don't stop. We fail, but we try again. We are weak, but we endure. That is our strength." The words struck her harder than any weapon. Simple, plain, yet filled with a truth that her people had ignored. The machine roared again, sending waves of light across the temple. The energy spread outward, echoing into the distant sky. It was as if the entire world now knew what had happened. That humanity had awakened what no other race could. The aliens around her fell to their knees. Some bowed their heads in respect. Others whispered in fear. The girl, proud and arrogant only hours before, now dropped to her knees as well, her golden eyes lowered. The human did not gloat. He did not smile in victory. He simply stood tall, steady, his calm presence more powerful than any display of pride. The girl dared to look up again. Her heart raced, but her voice came out soft. "What happens now?" The human turned back to the chamber, his hand still resting on the glowing crystal. For a moment, silence filled the temple. Then he answered, his voice carrying like thunder through the air. "Now the universe learns the truth. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not nothing. Humanity is the key." The words echoed across the chamber, sinking deep into every heart. The aliens bowed lower, their arrogance gone forever. The girl's chest tightened. She remembered every laugh, every insult, every time she had dismissed him. And now, All of it felt like a heavy chain pulling her down. But along with shame, another feeling grew: respect. For the first time in her life, she respected a human. The machine pulsed. One final time, its light blazing brighter than the sun. The walls shook, the pillars glowed, and the entire temple trembled with living energy. Then slowly, the light softened, resting quietly like a flame waiting for his command. The human stepped back, his body tired but unbroken. His eyes scanned the chamber once more. He spoke softly, but every word cut deep. "You laughed at me, but now you see. Humanity endures. Humanity creates. Humanity awakens." The girl's jaw dropped. Her golden eyes glistened, not with anger, but with the weight of truth. The human turned and walked away from the glowing chamber, leaving the machine alive and waiting. The aliens moved aside, bowing their heads as he passed. None dared mock him now. None dared stand in his way. The girl lowered her head, whispering to herself, "We thought them weak, but they were strong all along." The temple fell into silence once more. But it was no longer the silence of ruins. It was the silence of reverence. The silence before history changes forever. And in that silence, one truth remained unshakable. The universe would never see humans the same way again.